Welcome back to the Overheard Podcast, recorded live in Banff. My name is Daniel Grudel. I am sitting here with Cory Beaver, steps away from a workshop we just did called Braiding Knowledge. Thanks so much for joining me today, Cory. How's the day so far?
Day's been pretty good. Getting eaten alive by mosquitoes.
I know, there is a little bugs here, so you might see us smacking. You might hear a couple of claps, but it's for the love of the game, baby.
Pretty good. Just enjoying the day out in Banff.
It is beautiful. We are in a nice little setting by the river here. We had to get away from the waterfall because it is loud.
Be a tourist after. Just kidding.
Nice. I was being a tourist on the way here. We're super happy to announce that this is the first of 8 episodes we're doing in partnership with Biosphere, and none of this could be possible without the town of Banff, so big thank you for their support. So before you got started in all this, introduce yourself a little bit, Cory. Tell us what you do.
I do many things. I like to consider myself a jack of all trades, but a master of none. I would say I'm an artist, chainsmaker. I've danced professionally for the last 15 years, maybe plus years. It's been a while. Climate advocate. I co-founded 7Gen, it's an Indigenous Youth Energy Summit.
And what does being involved with Biosphere, I love being, since we linked up with Biosphere, I've learned so much, and it's really kind of kick-started something in me where I didn't know I could have as much change as I actually do. Did you ever have that moment where you thought, this is a cool avenue into real change?
Yeah, I stepped away from climate work and energy, so advocating for clean energy and all that jazz. So when I first announced that we were going to host 7Gen, I suddenly became this shiny new toy for people. So I was flying to events in Vancouver and Calgary and especially after 7Gen, it just kind of took off, and to a point where I was starting to feel the burnout already, and I was just I'm very sensitive, energy sensitive.
For sure. My partner's the same, man. I live with my partner is highly energy sensitive.
So a lot of networking and a lot of meeting people was a little overwhelming, and so I had to step back and focus on my mental health. I think it's great that so I've been away for a couple of years for a while now, and then I just recently met Tanya at Biosphere.
Big shout out.
Hi. we met with her about something, I can't remember what it was, but yeah, from there the relationship kind of was just rekindled with the Biosphere.
Yeah, so let's talk about braiding knowledges a bit, right? So braiding knowledge is the concept, taking different strands of knowledges, putting them together into a stronger bond, right? What are the knowledges that we're bringing together?
I think just different perspectives, the climate background that Tanya has with the Biosphere and just her heritage, and it was cool because we were first talking about Braiding Knowledges. We were sort of exploring ideas, and I mentioned that I had a scarf. So when she mentioned that she was Ukrainian, and just kind of the coincidence between her and I, me being native, there's a history with Ukrainian people and native communities, and intermingling, so exchanging knowledges or exchanging
sometimes physical items, right?
Yeah.
You brought, do you have it with you?
It's in my bag. So
you can always show the people.
This one.
Right? Yeah, there you go.
So this one, I guess when native people first crossed paths with Ukrainian settlers, they did a lot of trading, and so I'm not sure. I gotta refresh my history, but I know there's a lot of trading. I think we traded something.
For sure. This is always an offering when we met, right?
And so these were incorporated into native culture, and so it just became a part of who we are. We're very welcoming people. I think some people. We were talking about this earlier on the way here. Some events, is very open to everyone to participate, and sometimes you have the angry individual that will make you feel like you're not welcome.
I mean,
but we're actually very welcoming people. I think Yeah, and so that's why there's like this exchange, and now
I think circumstance and context is
Yeah.
huge, of course. There's some places where settlers are not invited, I'm sure. Certain ceremonies that are sacred where, yeah, rightfully so, we're not allowed to be,
Yeah.
right?
So then I mentioned this scarf, and she's like, "We'll bring it next time." And so it just kind of made sense to bring that out, and that's why we called it Braiding Knowledges, because just my own personal perspective on climate change and what's going on today, I guess, with climate.
What are your thoughts on climate change today? You told a pretty compelling story about your drive in during the workshop about some clear cutting that you saw, or
Yeah.
it's Fire Smart program that's been put into effect here in the Bow Valley. How did that make you feel? How does the general, I guess, state of ecology make you feel?
Well, now that you put it that way, I don't know why there was. I thought it was clear cutting for more like condos or something.
Well, no, it's to protect buildings,
Right. Okay.
right? So we cut down healthy trees in order to prevent fires catching to buildings that stand next to the healthy trees.
I wonder if they're planting trees though.
From what I've been told, it is meant to regrow in
Yeah.
a secular fashion so that there is fire breaks.
Well, I think like pre-contact there was a lot of fire mitigation.
Yes.
So our people did a lot of burning, so that.
It was a huge topic last year at the Banff Center Mountain Film and Book Festival on how they're exploring tactics to use prescribed burns in a way that First Nations did long before we got here.
Yeah.
And they found that using these techniques didn't prevent wildfires. It's not about preventing wildfires. It's about managing them and containing them to places so that they're less impactful and almost regenerative to the environment,
Yeah.
rather than wiping out huge areas like they're doing now due to our prevention of wildfires, if that's the whole concept.
Right. Okay. But yeah, when I on the drive into Banff today, I saw the clear cutting, and then immediately I felt sad. It's like, I know there's a lot of clear cutting going on right now for, I don't know, industry purposes or whatever. I have no idea. But you see it. It's pretty like, for me, it affected me to the point where I'm just like, they built too much. I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. We always say that non-natives are like bats. Very, how do you say this? We're constantly building.
Industrious. I'd say.
Industrious, yeah.
Yeah, like they want to work together to, well, ants build colonies, right?
Yeah.
To colonize, essentially. It's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah.
One that I'm not proud of, but I can see the relation for sure.
Yeah, and so it's crazy. Like it's really, we're in a time where we're very consumptuous.
For sure. I think media and the lifestyle that's been thrust upon us, I feel, is that of consumption,
Yeah.
right? It's in advertising. Everything I feel out there is trying to make you consume something or trying to get into your pocket for you to spend your money on something, right?
Yeah.
Either it's,
Very capitalist.
hey, you need this because it's cool, or you need this to achieve this, right? It's like this weird cat and mouse game almost that you play with yourself of what's the next thing I can purchase to better my life or to make myself
Yeah.
feel a certain way.
It puts us like in a weird position because like for me anyway, when I talk about climate and advocate for the environment, I'm sitting here with an Apple Watch and I have my iPhone. You know what I mean? And so it's like these things that's how we communicate now.
It's an important realization to make, though,
Yeah.
because the mining that goes into making this technology as well, like we've all seen that post of like climate activists complaining from their iPhones. It's kind of a very funny.
Yeah.
But honestly, we just did during the workshop there was a Venn diagram of how you can enact climate change, and it was what you enjoy, what you're good at, and what needs done. And in the middle, where all those things interject, is where your personal climate change, real action can happen. And honestly, if that includes an iPhone, I don't know, this includes an iPhone. I used an iPhone to write this episode, so I can't say that I'm immune to technology neither. I'm complicit in it,
Yeah.
but I think making pieces like this where we're discussing things that really matter go farther than the damage I've done by purchasing this piece.
Yeah, I think that's why it's always important to advocate, to at least advocate for it and speak up for Mother Nature, because Mother Nature can't speak up for herself. I think like you can notice though when you think about climate change, of all like the harsh weather we've been getting, like the huge downpours of rain and landslides happening and
we had one here in town just not long ago on the
Yeah.
golf course road.
they always say it's Mother Nature trying to heal itself. Don't quote Michael Jackson. He talks about the earth being sick, and humans are the infection.
Yeah, for sure.
And so Mother Nature is experiencing a fever, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's trying to take us out, basically.
basically.
That's one analogy. Do you suffer from climate anxiety yourself, would you say?
I do. There's many different things. I think I see it when I'm driving out to like past Lake Louise. You can see, or when I'm in Lake Louise, and it's always cool to hear the glaciers crack. But knowing the reality of it is it's slowly receding, probably faster than it's supposed to, and that makes me feel a little uncomfortable, because they say stories in Story Nakoda stories, they say that there's a prophecy that once the glaciers are gone, humanity is next.
Oh, wow.
And so, because there'll be no more clean water, no more fresh water once glaciers are gone, I think clean water is important. And,
Of course, we need clean water.
I think like it's basically the glaciers, the bees, and all these different things. They all need each other to stay working. I don't know.
For sure, it's one big cycle. I don't think taking pieces out is essentially what we're doing when we're taking resources out of nature, right? You're taking pieces out of the cycle. It all kind of leans on each other in order to work and in order for it to truly thrive. Now, when we're talking about climate change, we're talking about temperatures, like we mentioned landslides, different physical things. What do you think that does to us when we leave our own emotions out of that conversation?
Oh wait, let me answer the first question first.
Yeah.
Climate anxiety. In the wintertime, when it snows but it melts,
Yeah.
sometimes I yearn for those heavy snowfalls. Because as a kid, we used to make like tunnels and forts, and now you can't, because when it snows it melts right away. And if we're lucky, we get a huge dump, and then a huge dump of snow, and we're able to like play in it. But sometimes I miss that when we don't get snow, when it's like a dry Christmas, like a brown Christmas basically.
For sure.
So yeah, definitely, I always definitely feel it in those different, the weather patterns. And
So the anxiety maybe comes from not being able to provide that experience, or that the next generation isn't going to get to enjoy that fun that you had in nature.
yeah.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. Because I think here, like, we have snow on the ground. I think to when I was a kid, where I grew up, like, there was huge snowbanks. Maybe it just seemed bigger when I was a kid, but you're right. Our way of life is slowly changing due to our own environmental impacts. I saw this interesting piece from David Suzuki that said, like, we've gone too far. Like, the scale has actually been tipped too far, but it's very important to still keep fighting to at least have a better downturn. But I agree with returning to the land the way your people did back in the day, because there wasn't these problems back then. Nature, we kind of let it do its own thing and took sparingly, rather than, like, factory farming is something that drastically changed the landscape in North America for the worse, and now we're dealing with the repercussions of it hundreds of years later. thinking, maybe if we would have listened the first time, we
Yeah,
wouldn't
'cause
be here.
it changes the migratory patterns as well for the animals. Like you see a deer in town. That deer doesn't see. The deer still remembers. That's why it's where it's supposed to be. So even the elk, like there wasn't houses around here back then. And so it's probably like a huge change for them as well.
I was talking to a gentleman who was explaining to me that when Banff was first found by First Nations, they weren't sure whether the people followed the birds or the birds followed the people through the valley, because the Bow Valley, as you head north, is the first valley that thaws. Therefore, it's the first valley that will have food for migratory birds. So it's very interesting to me that they don't know who led who here to this place, right?
What I remember, just huge stories I've heard as a kid growing up, I think is we migrate with the buffalo. I think right now they're in the process of bringing back bison into the national park, so that they're trying to restore like the ecological relationship between animals and plants.
And people as well.
And people. Like back in the day, before contact, before colonization, our people migrated basically with the buffalo. They went where the buffalo went, because the buffalo provided the food, the shelter, the tools, and the clothing, and not just the buffalo, but the deer and the elk and the moose. And so it's basically just following the animal migratory system. So our people migrated when the animals migrated, especially for weather around here. I don't know how they managed to stay warm. I guess buffalo hide and teepees and such. But I know that our people traveled back and forth between Jasper all the way to Chief Mountain. But before that, I think it was kind of like through the plains and up the mountains, kind of like a circle.
Based on where the animals were going, right?
Yeah,
I mean, their migratory pattern, you would kind of follow the migratory pattern. What's one lesson that you've learned that you would share with settlers on how to better live their lives, or on how to better connect with nature?
Speak up. Speak up for nature.
Yeah.
You gotta stand in front of the logging truck.
Nice. You want to get extreme with it.
No, I think that's always a question that I always try to figure out is like how do I influence someone to be a better steward of the land. I think one thing that I've learned is that nowadays you need to go through a whole process just to get a degree in science, but our people always knew what plants are used to heal and what plants are used for food and just the wealth of knowledge that our people had.
Well, people are reverting back to that more than ever. I feel like people are rejecting pharmaceutical industry more than ever. People are more reverting back to natural remedies, and they want to live more one with nature.
Being a good steward, being an advocate. I think just to advocate for the environment, but really, if you your world is basically just as far as you can see. That's basically your world, and so I always think about this. I have this conversation with my cousin all the time. It's like we went hiking one time and we're on top of Prairie Mountain, and I'm thinking, I just kind of had this thought. Did you know your world is as big as the distance you see? And so I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just wanted to share this. And so when you're going somewhere, your world is always changing.
Ever expanding.
And so especially if you're actually traveling, so you're flying to Europe or something, what you see there is a part of your world. You're in this new world, but it's also a part of your world. Does that make sense?
Of course. Kind of like the analogy you gave during the workshop, where the grass is our hair and the mountains are our bones. I feel like there's a disconnect of the human. We separate ourselves from nature almost like we're above it, where I don't think that's the case at all. I think that's what consumerist media would like lead us to believe, that we're above nature, that we're here to use it or profit off of it. But true human happiness, I think, falls somewhere closer to the opposite of that. You know, I listened to a very interesting podcast the other day, and it was a sunlight doctor. Did you know that exactly what we're doing right now, sitting outside under trees, you're exposed to like a UV light that you cannot get anywhere else but sitting under trees with direct sunlight? And it's something that the body needs. And like, I feel better sitting here on a stump. I almost feel like we're recharging here, having this conversation about nature in nature. What does that mean to you?
It makes me want to hug the tree.
Yeah.
I like, whenever I'm in nature, I'm hiking, I always like to touch a tree as I'm hiking, or like sometimes I have this urge to just hug a tree.
Yeah. Did you know that forest bathing is scientifically proven to give positive benefits to a human? Like, we're meant to be in nature. Why are we killing it? It's, I don't know. It seems insane to me.
So I was sharing about this thing. I went hiking a couple days ago, and I went to Paget Peak in Field. And my cousin was talking about, so my cousin and I, we speak our language, we conversate in our language, and he was saying how do I put this? He was saying how nature is probably very happy that we're speaking our language right now, because for us, as language is connected to the land. You know, languages are part of our identity. You know, we're one of the few that still speak the languages fluently and still able to speak it.
How important is that to you?
Very important. For sure. It's an elders used to say, like, you know, you can be proud of being native, but who are you actually? How do I say this? When you go to like a powwow, have you been to a powwow?
When I was a kid, you know, my mom worked in the government for First Nations Affairs, and she brought me to a few, like in Ottawa, like some of the bigger ones. I've been a witness to them for sure.
Or you have to come to the one in Morley.
I'm so down, dude. I'm so down.
Anyway, some people there's some vendors that sell clothing that says Native Pride.
Yeah.
I just want to, like, when the elder was talking about how important the language is, he was saying, like, he was asking people in the room, do you speak your language? And some people said yes, some people said no. And he said, you see people wearing Native Pride, but what are they actually proud of? And then he said, if you don't speak your language, what are you proud of? I think it's kind of put people in the spot, but he kind of...
That's got to be, yeah.
But
I'm sure
he made it, like, he emphasized that it's important to speak the language because it's who we are. It's who we've always been. You know, Îyârhe means, you know, one who is of a pure language. And so our language is very descriptive, and I think it's very important to keep. There's a saying where when you get to the spirit world, the ancestors will ask you, will greet you in the language, and if you don't understand what they're saying, like, are you supposed to, I don't know, I know the full context of that, but basically saying you cannot get into the spirit world if you don't speak your language, or, you know, how are the ancestors supposed to understand you, or you understand them?
Fair.
So it's spiritual. I think it's very spiritual and very
Connecting.
Yeah.
Right? Like, definitely. What should settlers understand about the difference between respectfully learning Indigenous knowledge or simply implying the parts that suit us? Like, when we talk about trying to revert back to Indigenous practices, do you feel like, I don't know, people just pick and choose the part that best choose them rather than encompassing the full spirituality or the full meaning?
Right now, when people talk about truth and reconciliation, they only talk about it when it's beneficial for them, or they only, like, want to talk about the surface level. I don't actually want to talk about the actual truth. So I think for climate, I think it's the same for climate. I mentioned in the workshop before that everything is always interconnected. And there's this lady, her name is Milena Massimo Levican. She runs her own organization called Sacred Earth. And she talks about climate justice, how it's connected to racism.
For sure.
So trying to displace people from the traditional territories and extracting is very connected to racism and is ecological racism.
Well, I would agree. It's the most marginalized populations that can't defend themselves from this extraction of resources from their areas. And you'll find the more affluent areas are often the most heavily protected towards environmental impacts or crises.
Yeah, and so I always like to think about climate justice. There's no justice in climate until there's justice for racism. If that makes sense.
100%.
It's not the words I wanted to say, but that's the words that are coming out right now.
No, that's great. So what do you think about Banff rapidly becoming a place where it was once for healing, now very much difficult to get to in the most beautiful times of years for those that were here first?
Parking is tricky around here. Parking is tricky in Lake Louise, anywhere basically. Somehow, the tourism industry just boomed. Since the pandemic, I think I don't know how it was before, but I noticed that when we couldn't gather inside, a lot of people started hitting the hiking trails, and now a lot of people are hiking. And
I saw people at Bow Glacier Falls in flip-flops.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
Nuts,
dude.
How do you hike in flip-flops?
Do you have any thoughts on commodifying special places like the Cave and Basin for tourism, or like Banff for tourism?
I think our people used to use Cave and Basin because they say the waters of Cave and Basin have healing properties. Used to hear stories of how they climbed in from the top to heal themselves and climb out. I think that was the moment they saw opportunity. They basically said, you can't be here anymore.
You know, if you go up there, you can still go to that site where they found it at the top, and there's a very interesting boardwalk on the way up, and about 5 meters away there's a sign, and it's 2 cowboys sitting there on a fence, leaning with their hats down, which I feel is so indicative of the story, but it's terrible to have it there. It's almost celebrating the fact that it was stolen.
Yeah.
And then, they commodified it, right? The Banff Sanatorium, you know about the Banff Sanatorium?
No.
So the Cascade Gardens, the building that's there, was once the Banff Sanatorium. So they would charge people to come here to stay at the Banff Sanatorium to go bathe in the waters and drink the water in order to heal themselves. So they took the practices of First Nations, essentially, commodified it, sold it back to other colonists under the pretense that they made this discovery. It's insane.
I think that still happens to this day, though.
Yeah.
Because you see people selling sage bundles. Sage bundles were sacred and very used for medicinal and spiritual ceremonial practices. Nowadays, you can buy sage or things that are imported.
So not even from the land,
Not
but
even from the land.
pertaining to
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on non-First Nations people employing some of those practices, like smudging or partaking in spirituality that's more First Nations derived?
I think it's people overdo it.
Yeah.
People overdo it. I think they look ridiculous.
Do you think it's more rooted in performatism or being performative rather than true spirituality for some?
I would say
And what would make it a true practice?
I've heard people say that our practices are pagan. And so
But pagan just means what? Non-Christian? That's all that really means,
Yeah.
right? Like,
somehow they attach a negative connotation to that, I guess.
I think only
I think
only a
because-
Christian would attach a negative connotation to that.
Because of like and going back to like Salem, what used to happen in Salem,
Yeah.
and how they like.
So using those practices in order to like vilify. Yeah.
But I think like people, when I say people overdo it, I see like, just on the way in, I saw this white dude who was parked along the highway, but he was harvesting sage on the side of the road, and I noticed that when people harvest sage, they root it. And for us, it's like, when we harvest these medicines and these, these things, these herbs, we took what we needed, we didn't consume the whole thing. And they always say, like, when you take medicine, don't root it.
I just did an episode with a chef from Canmore coming out soon, and her foraging principles were 90% left behind. So if you find something that you're foraging for food or I guess spiritual purposes, kind of the golden rule is 90% left behind. You're only taking 10% or less than 10%.
Yeah.
So again, there's not just humans benefit from these things being in the wild. There's wildlife, there's animals, there's insects that are also benefiting from this. So I think that comes back to us benefiting from the nature, or being fed this idea that we're here, that nature is here to help us and not the other way around.
Yeah.
Right? Interesting stuff. So during the workshop, everyone left with a plant. Years from now, when those plants have either grown or passed on or been consumed, because there was some edible plants there, what do you hope people that planted them remember about the workshop?
I think the intention behind the plants was to plant the seed. The seed meaning like the next step for each individual. Like, what are you going to do? What do you take away from this workshop? Well, I'm going to be a better climate activist, a climate advocate, and I'm planting this intention so that the plant reminds me to continue that advocacy. It's a metaphor, like for like next steps. I think like it's up to individuals to, like, if that's all they learn at that workshop, that's fine. Or if they want to learn more about climate activism or climate advocacy, then I think it's basically up to the individual to, like, we have Google now, and we have,
For sure. There's plenty of opportunities. There's
different ways to learn about.
And you know what? For those that are stuck behind the screens, it's a great way to go connect with people. Let me tell you. As I've connected with Biosphere Institute, with yourself, Cory, Bow Valley Naturalist, anyone that loves nature is a pretty chill person. You know what I mean? So get out there, get involved. It's a lot of fun. Like, I took some time out of my day to come learn, chat with Cory, and I'm going to leave here a better person because of it. And because of that, I'll leave my environment better in the future. But I think that's all we got, man. That's some really good stuff there. Thank you for being so open. Before we go, can we just get a see you next Tuesday?
See you next Tuesday.
Peace.